Andrews.
Here.
Bowden.
Here.
Collins. Hinderman here. Pohl.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
White.
Here.
Proof of giving public meeting notice, Aaron.
Yep, notices were posted at both schools, sent to the Village of Dickeyville and Cuba City City Hall, as well as sent to members of the media on Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021.
Item 3 is public recognition. I don't.
So Susan's the
Unless
only one
Susan
here.
has something to
She's
say.
coming.
We're good. Alrighty, consideration of the consent agenda. It's a long list. Are there any questions, or would somebody move to approve?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Administrative reports, Heather's. Oh, I didn't even see you were hiding behind Don. All right, go ahead.
Sure. So just an update on the 2021 Fund 10 expenses. At the end of May, we were 92% of our way through our fiscal year. We've only spent about 63% of our budget, and we are right where we were at last year with our expenses. I do want to give you an update on our Fund 10 and some Fund 27 revenue. The district received about $51,000 more in special ed aid than what we budgeted. We also received about $12,000 more in sparsity aid than what we budgeted. And with sparsity aid is a lot of rural school districts are eligible for sparsity aid. So there's just a pot of money. And the reason why we got more money was because fewer districts were eligible. So that meant more money for Cuba City School District, which is a good thing.
And we're not even close to being not eligible for sparsity aid.
Right. And then we received about $13,000 more in federal aid. And this federal aid that we received $13,000 more in, this is coming from Forward Health, meaning our Medicaid, and it's from previous years. So that it's really hard we basically just go off of what did we book in this particular line item last year. And that's how Aaron and I budget this particular line item every single year. It just so happens that this year we received more money in federal aid. The district received about $20,000 more in E-rate. Now, part of the reason why we received more money in E-rate was because we did have some additional expenses in our tech department. We upgraded our router, so we spent more money. Therefore, we're eligible for more reimbursement. And then, if you remember, in 1920, we added the position of a self-regulation counselor. So in March, I applied for a school mental health program grant. And I was applying for that grant based on our numbers from 1920. And how that grant works is that they take the full salary and benefits of our self-regulation counselor. And we were eligible for 50% of her salary and benefits. And you're eligible for 50% the first year you hire on a new counselor. And then next year we would be eligible for 50% of her increase in wages and benefits. So a big lump sum this year. Next year it will be quite a bit smaller. So that grant was $54,000 that we were eligible for. Aaron and I did know that this grant was out there. However, with a grant like this, you don't ever know when the state's going to discontinue it. So we didn't budget for that particular line item. And then the last update I want to give on revenue is our final open enrollment numbers are in for the year, and our net open enrollment brought in about $240,000. And just to kind of give you a comparison, last year our net open enrollment was right around $80,000, and this year it was $240,000. We did budget for that increase, but I did just want to give everyone an update on our open enrollment numbers. Just a few other items. The district's fiscal year ends at the end of June, so I'm busy working on lots of year-end processes. One of those includes we have a pre-audit that's scheduled for Thursday, July 1st. So I'm busy working on gathering 40 plus documents that the auditors have requested. And then our full audit is scheduled for August 4th and August 5th. And I'm hoping at next month's meeting, I should have a better idea, even though we won't be closing our fiscal year won't be, like, our books won't be closed at our next board meeting, but I'm hoping to give everyone an update on this is about where we're sitting with the budget. And that's all I have.
Any questions? All righty, thank you. Ellen?
Yeah, so here's what I have for my report tonight. We are working on updating all of our handbooks and our professional guidelines in all buildings, so those will be ready to come to the board in July. Our high school curriculum leads have been meeting to discuss a scheduling idea, and that's actually a discussion item that I'll be talking about here in a little bit. So I'm excited to share that with all of you. I've been giving quite a few tours to families that have either moved into the district or have moved in a district nearby and are considering open enrollment. So it's been fun to meet those families and share the great things that are happening here. But we've had quite a few tours, which is exciting. We had high school awards day virtually on May 26th, and we did it virtually, but it was neat. You could hear different classrooms cheering for students as they were presented the awards. So it was fun, even though it was virtual. On May 26th, we had 187 scholarships that were awarded to 36 students, which was 69% of the class. This was a total of $586,878. I want to thank all of the scholarship donors for helping our students as they begin the next step of their educational journey. So it was outstanding. Then graduation took place on Saturday, May 29th, after a terrible weather that we had on Friday night, because it was scheduled for Friday night. It was horrendously horrible, like 34 degrees and raining. And then Saturday was beautiful. So it was a great day. And thank you to the board members that helped us. So it was good. We had middle school awards day on June 2nd, and this was shared with all middle school parents by video. And then we did it ahead of time, and the entire middle school viewed it at the same time. And at the same time, we shared it with parents so that they could see it and then talk to their child and look and watch it again when their child got home. So I want to thank all of the staff for helping create that, but especially Ms. Rollins, because she put all the finishing touches on and put it all together to be presentable for everyone. So that was an interesting way to celebrate our students, and one that obviously then can be shared and parents can continue to view. The middle school had fun. The last day of school, we did an outside field day. We split them up into teams and had competitions all day long. And it was really good just to be outside and let them run. I think many of them left with sunburns because it was a beautiful day. Some of the staff were burned as well, but it was a great day. I had exit meetings with all staff on June 3rd and 4th. Each staff member shared what their professional development plans were for the summer. So we had good conversations on what they were looking forward to for professional development. I also want to share that, Stacy Ballbeck has done many things lately for our school to be recognized. And so I want to share those with you. The first is she is a policy board member for Chem Matters magazine, which Chem Matters is nationally recognized through the American Chemical Society, and the magazine helps high school students find connections between chemistry and the world around them. So that's one avenue that Cuba City is being highlighted nationally. Another would be that Stacy was elected as the high school ambassador for the 2021 governing board for the American Association of Chemistry Teachers, where she will represent the viewpoint of teachers of chemistry at the high school level on a national stage. And the third is she's a review panelist for the Science Teacher, and the Science Teacher is an award-winning peer-reviewed practitioner's journal for grades 9-12. So those are just some ways that she's shared what she's been doing here at Cuba City and how Cuba City then is being recognized nationally as well. Our building is being used for face-to-face driver's education through Southwest Tech, which we're happy about. They were not going to allow it to be face-to-face at first, but then they asked what our requirements were, and they made the change right before it began. So we're glad that Mr. Summers was able to have face-to-face driver's ed this year, and they're in their last week this week. Along with that, then summer school started on June 14th. It has been going well also. It's fun to see the kids out in the yard doing the outside games in the mornings. And then we also have the remedial class happening for credit recovery here in the middle school for our high school students. But I know Brad's not here to share his report, so I know he would be talking about summer school and it's in his writing, but it has started off and going well, and that goes till July 15th. We've also had summer camps that are taking place here in June in the gym. We are now getting into leagues and open gyms and things for our students as well. So now that spring sports are ending up, which I'm going to talk about next, we're heading into all those summer activities, which is kind of odd because they're a few weeks later than usual. So with that, then our golf team had one participant move on to sectionals, and that was Logan Rogers. So congratulations to him this year. Softball and baseball both had great seasons. And we're just so thankful that the weather was really great as far as reschedules go, and both teams just did an outstanding job and really represented Cuba City well in the tournament games. I'm just so proud of our staff, for both as well as our students, because they do a great job of representing us. Some of the other schools that you view, you just think, really, like, it's kind of embarrassing. So I'm really proud of our students and staff and how great they do. Our track team's also doing really well, and we're excited for all of them. They left today for state track, and we look forward to seeing how they perform tomorrow as it begins tomorrow in lacrosse. So good luck to them. And we're, like I said, follow social media to see how they perform over the next few days. And the last thing I want to say is it's awesome. I'm so impressed with our maintenance staff. So they decided to start in our building this year. The middle school's already all done, completely clean and waxed. And that's where we have summer school and driver's ed happening. And they are now heading down the main hall. All those rooms already have been worked on as well, with everything back in the rooms. And it's not even the end of June, and they're really getting a lot done quickly, and their work ethic is fantastic. So thank you to them for that. And the dots are off the floors. Did you notice?
I did.
No dots. And so we can scrub that off and wax it so it'll be bright and shiny with no dots. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Go ahead.
Quickly, Ellie, could you, how many students have scholarships on scholarship night?
36 students. So that is 69% of the class.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's why I put it in there, so I know you would.
All right, thank you. So Brad's not here to give a report. Do you have anything to add, Aaron?
The things that I wanted to just bring up that were kind of events that happened. This week, the Joint Finance Committee approved an increase in funding to schools that does very little for Cuba City schools. So you might hear that they added $340-some million. It comes basically in form of tax relief. It's not new dollars going to schools. And so when we look at the estimates, it does not do anything for us. In fact, the Joint Finance Committee is saying schools are getting so much in ESSER funding that we don't want to put their dollars back into schools. So for an example, because I met with John Costello from Southwestern and Cuba are getting around $700,000 in ESSER funding. Fenimore is getting 3.2. Platteville's getting 3.8. We get about $1,100 per student in ESSER funding to help offset the gaps and learning gaps and things that we had to do to accommodate for COVID. Milwaukee Public Schools gets $12,000 per student. We get $1,100. So for some schools, it's based on Title I numbers, which are based on, a variety of things, including how many students you have in free and reduced lunch. We stayed open all year. It was expensive to stay open all year. And I did let Representative Mark Klein and Representative Tranel know that the government wanted us to be open, and we were able to do that, but it was expensive. And this current plan does not help the students in our district. So just wanted to let you know that, depending on whose perspective you're hearing, they'll say, oh, we put all this money back into schools. Just know locally, it doesn't help us much, if at all. There's a little increase in special ed reimbursement that'll help, outside, which is minimal.
And I heard on the news that in essence, school districts, which I had heard were going to be rewarded for staying open or being open. It's actually the opposite
Financially.
Yep.
Yeah. We still have not heard part of ESSER funding. There's still 10% that they have not made a decision on. So let's say for ESSER 2, 220,000 we know we're getting, Heather, for ESSER 2? 223. But if Congress or the legislative branch basically says, we want to use that for only schools that stayed open, which would benefit us, that 220 now is about 320. So that would help us if they do that. They have not made that decision. They likely won't make that decision until October, but that would impact ESSER $2 and even ESSER $3. And for us, that could make the difference of up to $250,000 if they do actually want to reward schools who are open full time.
Is there any way that as a board we can, communicate to our legislators that
Yes.
that's
If you guys would like, I can write a draft and send it to you in an email, and you can copy and paste it and send it to our representatives if you'd like to do that.
I would like.
I can have that done tomorrow.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, virtual environment survey was sent to all parents at the end of the year to see how many people wanted to continue doing Edmentum. We sent that out to everybody, and the survey has closed. We had less than 5 students say that they want to do Edmentum. So that also leads into one of our new business items. We want to have an intern at the elementary school with Miss Brewer, who handled all of our Edmentum kids this year. We want to have an intern in there each semester so she can have an hour a day where she is meeting and working with those kids and just conferencing with them to see if there's anything that they need. That intern allows us for that. So if those 2 students if we didn't provide Edmentum, if they were to go somewhere else, that's $14,000 leaving our district. Interns are about $6,000 per. So we're going to spend 12 and keep 14. We're still in the black. We're not in the red there. So that's if we have 2 students. Now we're going to send another one out because there were so few students. We want to make sure we're going to send a second one out just to make sure that people know what's going on. And also we have to communicate some changes with contact tracing and that are some COVID items. So first of all, the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled that the grant count all county health directors cannot close schools anymore. So you'll remember a lot of times I came to you and said, we have to do this because if we don't do this, this guy can close our school. That is not an option anymore. They are not legally able to do that. They can make recommendations. So we also heard from the Department of Health Services that they're not going to change contact tracing except in cases where someone is fully quarantined. So next year they anticipate us. I'm sorry, fully vaccinated. Yeah, not fully quarantined. Fully vaccinated. So I think we have to let parents know that sooner than later. When I have our county health meetings, they basically said, you can let people know this, but vaccines are so easy to get right now. We think whoever wants one has gotten one. And if somebody doesn't want them, they're not going to get it. And I understand that, but I do think it's our job to inform the parents that if you don't want to have contact tracing impact your life, it doesn't have to be, but that means you have to be vaccinated. Not everyone wants to be vaccinated. We understand that, but that's what the county health department will be saying. We'll still be contact tracing next year. So that's, there's a lot of things that have to happen before our August meeting where we talk about how we're going to handle all that stuff. But just so you know, that's the news that I got last week and this week.
I guess I had thought a little bit about that because our August board meeting won't be till roughly 2 weeks before school. Should we not make a decision in July to give then parents more information, or do you think that the timing is fine with, in essence, 2 weeks notice to the parents of what we're deciding for?
That's kind of why I want to let parents know where we're at after 4th of July, to send them an update and just say, this is kind of the information as we know it right now. But if you guys want to do that before our August meeting, right now we don't have, I'm hoping that we get some new information other than what I just shared with you, because that's not good news, that they don't want to change anything unless you're vaccinated.
Well, I mean, I guess given that now you're saying that if we ruled, let's say, to, do whatever, and the county's going to do contact tracing regardless of what happens between now and the 1st of September. Is there any other things that are going to happen regardless?
No, I'm pretty sure every school in Grant County is not going to have a mask mandate. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. So every 2 weeks we meet with the Grant County superintendents and the Grant County Health Department. And it's time for question and answer and sharing. The last time we met, there were probably only 4 or 5 schools there, and we have about 8 or 9 in Grant County. The county health department was nervous because most of us are not going to have mask mandates, and we're not going to have physical distancing procedures in place. We're going back to somewhat of a normal environment. So that was their concern, but almost all of us in there, and when I say almost all of us, everyone that was present on those meetings is not going to have a mask. They don't anticipate having a mask mandate, and they don't anticipate putting in physical distancing things to the extent that we did this year.
I mean, based on what I think I just heard, I mean, I guess I'd be comfortable at the July meeting having that on our agenda and discussing, because it's almost as if tonight I could say I make a motion that, we proceed with, school as normal, period, pre-COVID,
So
whatever.
The interesting piece is right now, there was a school at the end of the year that made contact tracing optional. We just said, we'll let the parents know your kid was identified as a close contact. If you'd like to keep them home, you can. We don't know if that's going to be common or if that is going to change from the Department of Health Services where they say you cannot do that. But one school, it was in Waukesha County, which is a little different according to Jeff. But that makes a big difference. And we're kind of waiting to hear what Wisconsin Department of Health Services, how they combat that and what they say with that. If that's an option, based on our local data, where we basically had no school spread all year and we had to quarantine 400 students and staff, are we comfortable with that? Now, knowing we had physical distancing in place and we wore masks. So that's kind of the hard part. So that's my hesitancy of doing it in July is as we get closer, there might be more things that we have to consider that we maybe don't know in July. And that's really the big one is our contact tracing from moving from here on out going to be required, or can we make them optional? Because I think that would warrant a conversation amongst us as a board and administration.
I mean, I guess unless our attorney or our liability insurance company has, no, you won't do that sort of response to our returning to pre-COVID, conditions. I guess that's the.
Yep.
where I'm at.
And what both of them will say is if there's a requirement, you have to follow it. If it's a recommendation, it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So our attorney would say, yep, that's legal to do. Our insurance company would say, we will support you in case there's a claim if it's just a recommendation.
Because I guess I was looking at sending out, not a monthly message to the parents, but I guess if that has to be, or that's the will, why, I was looking at, maybe I just, here's what we're going to do.
So I'm interested to hear what happens in Waukesha before we have that, but
I don't know.
the other items, I think, we already did that for our summer school, with the masks and physical distancing.
At least maybe we can make a topic for discussion in the July meeting.
Sure. Yep. Sounds good. That's all I have.
Alrighty. If there's no questions on those reports, we'll move into item 6, discussion about modified block schedule for 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so I just want to share with you some of the, kind of where we've been and where we're headed. And so this, you'll see from the discussion item, this is for the school year 22-23. So not this coming year, it'll be the following year. But one thing that has come out of this COVID experience is we had to go to a block schedule at the high school level to reduce contact with multiple kids, for having less transitions between hours. So with that, then staff planned for that 90-minute block, and they have discovered that at times they really like that 90 minutes, whether it's because it's a lab day, maybe they have multiple things they want to do. It allows them to go deeper, spend more time with kids, and have them in front of them longer. So we had conversations, like in January, I surveyed the staff just to get a feel for where they were at, how are they feeling. And I basically said, if you could pick tomorrow an 8-hour day or a block schedule, what would you do? What would you pick if you had a preference? So we collected that information. I also surveyed students to get a feel for how they like the 8-hour day versus the block. And I only surveyed the ones that have experienced both, because obviously the freshmen would have only had block, because they had block in middle school, so I didn't survey them, but only the students that would have experienced both. And it was interesting because there are pros and cons to both structures. So with that, then our curriculum leads have continued that conversation and discussed it more, because, really, I do strongly believe whether you have 45 minutes or you have 90 minutes as a teacher, a highly effective teacher is going to do the most with the minutes they have and use it well to keep the kids engaged and go. And some of the classes, some teachers adamantly are like, I like the 45 minutes every day because I want to have that touch point with kids every single day, because that is what they prefer. Other subjects lend better to that 90 minutes. Like a lot of our CTE programs, they like the 90 minutes because the kids can work longer on their projects. They can have more time to walk around and help students. So there are pros and cons to both. So our curriculum leads have had a lot of conversations around this. They've talked about completely blowing up the schedule, looking at it again. And what we have come to at the end of the year, we've decided as a group, we are going to explore and look at how we can do a modified block. So I'm going to explain what a modified block is. A modified block is the best of both worlds. So on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, you would have 8-hour days. Wednesday and Thursday would be block. So on Wednesday, you would see hours, possibly hours 1, 3, 5, 7. And on Thursday, you would see 2, 4, 6, 8. And you would get a 90-minute block. So teachers can plan for those 45-minute days, 3 days a week. And that 1 day a week, they know they're going to have that 90 minutes where they could do that lab. They could do more of those pieces where they want to have more of that extended time with students. So I just wanted to share where we were at. We shared it with the curriculum team at our last curriculum meeting here in June. But I wanted to share that with all of you. See if you have questions. Again, we're at the beginning stages of it. We're looking at it this summer and the fall. We are going to continue to talk to schools that have it. On Alaska is a modified block. I've talked to the principal. They went to full block this year because of COVID as well. And he said the staff cannot wait to go back to modified block because they just really prefer 3 days of 8-hour days and the 2 block days, because they feel like they do a better job connecting with kids. They see them more often instead of the full block schedule, but they also have that 90-minute option once a week so that it's not 45 minutes every single day. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. That's what we're exploring. that's what we are looking to implement in the 22-23 school year. I know it seems like it's a ways off, but we have to make the decision now to get our software platforms up and ready for that when we go to schedule in January. So that's why we're planning this way, because we'll have to have that all figured out by December for sure, so that we know we're ready to move forward the following school year. Does anybody have any questions for me? Or thoughts?
Just, Ellie, on an early release, Friday's an early release day, how do you figure your 8 hours?
Just as we have done in the past.
Okay.
They're just a little shorter.
Shorter?
Yeah, so they'd still see every class.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
So that would
Okay.
stay the same.
Yeah. We'll see the same.
Yeah.
Condense it.
Good question.
Any other questions? Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah. And if anything comes up, let me know.
New business, approve the partnership with UW-Platteville for one elementary intern each semester for the 21-22 school year.
Yep, this is to allow our virtual teaching expert in our district, because nobody knows more about that than Ms. Brewer, just some time every day to touch base with those students, and whether it's, whether we end up with 3 or 7, I think having the intern in there is really gonna help the students, and it's going to help Ms. Brewer touch base with them every day. So I recommend that we approve this.
Are there any questions for it? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the partnership with UWP for one CCES intern each semester for the 21-22 school years presented.
Is there a second?
Well, second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White, yes. Motion carried.
Item B, approve the request for proposal for architects interested in working with the district on facility study and needs assessment.
Yep, so this is what we talked about earlier at our special meeting. I will add those, the questions or the language about the survey in there. I did notice that in the motion, it has something copied and pasted from last month on certified staff. So the motion will be moved to approve the request for proposal for architects interested in working with the district on facility study and needs. So whoever makes that, just start with move to approve and then go up to letter B and read the rest of that sentence.
I move to approve the request for proposal for architects interested in working with the district on facility study and needs assessment as presented.
Is-
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White, yes. Motion carried.
Alrighty, item C, approve the copier and printer contract renewal with Corporate Business Solutions.
Yep, we went through this with our technology committee as well. We sent this out to bid. We had 2 respond back, CBS, who we currently work with, and Access Control, which is a slightly larger business. Both were able to cut a lot from our current contract, and one way we did that is by taking away a lot of the individual printers and getting more large copiers. So that was it came out, the bids came out to about 30% less per month, which was great for us. And both of them came in, we kind of went back and forth to make sure that everything was as we wanted, and Chevy put a lot of work into this. And finally, we just said, okay, give us your final bid. And we assumed it would be the Access Control because they're the bigger company. And they're the new company, and actually CBS, who we've worked with for the last 5 years, came in with a lower bid. And it was apples to apples by the time it got all done. And the people that we worked with, CBS before, came in with the lower bid. So that's the one we're going to go with. So that was approved by our technology committee last time we met.
If there's no questions, Dan, you want to make that motion?
I would move to approve the printing contract as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White, yes. Motion carried.
Item D, approve the agreement with Weiderholt Enterprises Sanitation and Recycling Contract.
Yeah, we sent this out to bid as well, and we got 2 back from Weiderholt and Faraday. Weiderholt was considerably less than Faraday in the bid, and we made sure the bids were apples to apples as well with what we needed. And we already use Weiderholt Enterprises for our snow removal in the parking lots, and so this is just an added agreement that we'll have with them and continue that partnership.
I will move to approve the sanitation recycling contract with Weiderhold Enterprises as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poll,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
motion carried.
Committee reports, budget and finance. I guess I don't see or hear anything. Do you
No.
need a meeting or anything?
Last time we met was May 12th.
Yep, we'll have another meeting. When's our next one? I know we have a calendar set up for budget and finance committees. Yeah, it'll be after July 1st, we'll get our equalized aid estimates. So we wouldn't meet till after then.
All right.
Building and grounds, did you meet already?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, it might be early July, kind of depending on when we get that priority list, but it'll either be late
All right.
June or early July.
Communications review and strategic planning.
Met back in April, don't have another one on the agenda yet.
Curriculum, instruction and assessment. You just met, I think
Yeah.
you said.
We met, we talked about the social studies and English language arts, just all the work that Stacy's done with the curriculum teams throughout the year. It's just the amount of information she presented, the teams have done a really great job. They're putting a lot of considered thought into the curriculum they're choosing for the year.
We actually thought about adding to our list of monthly reports, a curriculum report, not by Stacy every month, but we've got 11
Area leads.
area leads and having them come in 1 month a year. Everybody comes in one time and just gives us a little 10-minute recap of what they've been doing because we were so impressed with what the curriculum teams were doing. They're doing a wonderful job and we just wanted more people to hear what they were saying. So it was a great curriculum meeting.
That's great to hear. Personnel,
We'll start up our that compensation committee meeting again in August. We might meet probably in July. The personnel committee meeting will probably meet in July, and then we'll start the compensation committee meeting probably in August.
okay. Policy, looks like you're gonna meet again August.
Yeah, about every 3 or 4 months they come out with new
October.
revisions.
Okay. Technology, transportation, I know we just met. Dan, is there anything else?
I have nothing new.
Okay. Foundation, doesn't look like you're gonna meet till January. CISA 3, we continue to have all of our meetings virtually. But I'll be curious to see the outcome of at least one of the agenda items at your PAC meeting that's regarding what we just talked about. So with regard to COVID, so.
Yep.
I don't have anything else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Nobody wanted it to be over today.
Thanks, Dan. Hope you feel better.
So quick. Not right.
Not right, yeah.
Yes.